Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ship Nuggets. This is Omo Mokwede. I'm really excited that you've joined us for this broadcast, and I'm again very delighted to have you here. Special thanks to Yomi for doing this, and thanks to everyone for watching the videos and for subscribing to this channel. In our last broadcast, I started off talking about leadership and leadership in terms of who a leader is. And I'm going to kind of continue in that same vein about what leadership is all about, and specifically going to be talking about power in leadership. So I spoke again the last broadcast about leaders are people that select, equip, train, and influence other people, and with the understanding about the skills and the abilities that these individuals have. And I want to just take it a step further. Now, social scientists in studying leadership have asked this question: is leadership based on a trait? Are people, in other words, are leaders just born? Because you hear someone say, oh, that's just a born leader, or that's a born leader. No, you're not a born leader, So in other words, is it based on traits? Is it based on behaviors, sets of behaviors? Is it based on situations? Or is it based on specific skill sets? Now, having studied leadership for some time now, it's all of the above. It's based on traits, it's based on behaviors, it's based on a role, it's based on an influence relationship, it's based on a process, it's based on skills. It's all of the above to me, because the construct of leadership is not so simple. It's not two-dimensional. It's multifaceted, and we need to study it. We need to learn about leadership from a holistic perspective. Now, I talked a little bit about the importance of leadership and how and why we need to engage in the study and understanding of leadership, because the stakes are very high. If you have bad leadership, everything goes down. Your organization crumbles, your family crumbles, your church crumbles. If leadership is not properly executed, or if not properly done, if it's bad leadership, the impact is a lot. So we need to learn about leadership. We need to jump on the boat of leadership. And you know what also got me surprised when I started studying leadership is the fact that in some non-profit organizations, there's this reluctance to study leadership. There's this reluctance of their leaders to study leadership. They feel like, well, I've been a leader for 20 years, so I don't need to learn about leadership. I don't need to understand leadership. And every time I look at them, I shake my head, I'm like, that's the reason why your company isn't doing too well, because you as a leader have not decided to inculcate these leadership principles in your leadership act. For example, if you are constantly having high turnover in your organization, perhaps you want to ask yourself, what leadership principles am I violating? What leadership things, activities or processes am I violating? Those things will help. So anyway, let's keep moving on. I want to talk about, like I said, power in leadership. Now, leadership is about an influence relationship between a group of people called leaders and their followers. It's an influence relationship. Leadership does not occur in isolation. No. I like what John Maxwell said. He said, I don't know if he was the original person who said it, but it's in his book. He said, anyone who thinks he's leading and no one is following is only taking a walk. True statement. If you're leading and nobody's following you, you're only taking a walk. So the reality is this, that leaders and followers are in this influence relationship. And this influence relationship is dictated by what we call power. According to Nordhaus, power is the capacity to influence the attitudes and the behaviors of others. Power is the ability or the capacity to influence the attitudes or behaviors of others. Now, there are different types of power, and this leads to different types of influence. The first power there, two social scientists conducted a research in the 50s. Their name is French and Raven. They conducted this thing on power, and they listed out the different types of power that you find in leaders. The first one is called positional power, and positional power is based on rank or office. And this positional power leads to what we call positional influence over the subordinates. Positional power is found mostly in organizations like the military. Positional power could even be found in the churches. And this is the lowest influence relationship, you would say. Why? Because when you have positional power over someone, it's not deep. When you have positional power over your subordinates or your followers, you may have power over them in terms of your position, but you don't have their buy-in. You understand what I'm saying? You may not necessarily have their buy-in. They may just be doing things just for the money or just because they want to just do it. You are not getting the best out of your followers just because of positional power. So I'm reminded of something that happened to me as a young boy. Like I said, I have been leading since I was 8 years old. I used to lead a bunch of students, a bunch of kids as an 8-year-old boy in the St. John's Ambulance Brigade. I was their captain, the youngest captain for a long time. I led different groups as well. And as a commander, I had people who were older than me that would come and they'll salute me, and whenever they saw me, that was the tradition, And I'll get a little bit big-headed, But at the end of the day, I realized that as we started growing up and moving, we moved from elementary school to high school. Some of these older kids became my seniors in high school, and so in that environment, in that space, my position as a commander did not apply. So I didn't have any influence over them because the relationship I had with them was just positional, And sometimes, in our offices or in our organization, many leaders think they actually have influence, but they just have positional power. You have positional power when you begin to say this: don't you know I'm your boss? Don't you know I'm your boss? Or don't you know I'm the leader? I am the this. When you start emphasizing position over process, when you emphasize position over personality, when you emphasize position over vision, you're a positional leader. And positional leaders don't have the buy-in of everybody. You're just occupying a position. And when that position goes away, you're down, in ground zero. So that's one power. Another type of power is personal power. And it's derived by being likable, just your personality. This power is actually good, but you might have people who are just charismatic. But being charismatic doesn't mean that it's always good. So Adolf Hitler was charismatic, but you see what happened to him. And people may like you and people may not like you, you know what I mean? And like I said, charisma has its advantages and has also its disadvantages. Then there's legitimate power, which has to do with your status or your job authority. And this is related to positional power as well. Legitimate power is the power that people have given to you legitimately. You are the boss, so you're leading 5 people, you're leading 10 people, you're leading 15 people. It's on paper, it's part of your job description. That's legitimate power. It has its strengths and it has its weaknesses as well. Then there's reward power. The power is the ability for you as a leader to reward people. Sometimes when you feel like you have the power to reward people, especially when they've done well, it gives you that influence over them because you have the power to reward them. So they're going to listen to you. They're going to connect with you because you have the power to reward them. Then there's coercive power. This is just the capacity to penalize. Because you have the capacity to penalize people, you have the capacity to punish people, you have the capacity, you are influencing them. You can influence them because by using force, coercive force. And a lot of leadership, unfortunately, utilizes this coercive power. Yeah, you're not going to do that work? Okay, you're not going to get paid today. If you don't do this, it's based on threats. You understand? Most times it's based on threats. It's based on, transactional, what Bas calls transactional leadership, where, well, you do this and then you're going to get rewarded. If you do this, you're going to get punished. That's coercive power. Then there's expert power. Expert power is a power that you have that releases an influence over your followers because of the expertise and the things that you bring to the table. The expert power is very powerful as a leader. As leaders, you must strive to be the best at what you do. Now, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be the sharpest knife in the drawer. After all, someone like Henry Ford, was known to have hired people who were a lot smarter, people who were a lot more educated than him. So it's not about being the smartest person in the room, but it's about just knowing your worth and knowing what you bring to the table, having clarity about the vision that you have for your organization. So expertise is essential as a leader. Then there's referent power. This is charisma. This is personality, based on your personality. This is the power that people have given to you. This is awesome. When the most effective type of influence is the influence that was willingly given to you as a leader. When people willingly come and say, okay, I want you to lead me, I want you to mentor me, I want to work for your organization, they are drawn to you because of your character, because of your behavior. They're drawn to you because of your process, the way you think, your vision casting. This is a power that people willingly give to you. It's reference. They give it to you and say, you know what, we want to work with you. We want to connect with you. We want you to be our leader. That's a powerful place to be. Then there's structural power, there's decision-making power, and then there's information or knowledge power. Now, of all these powers that I've listed, the ones that you want to keep in mind is expert power, referent power, informational power. These powers are ways that you can influence your community, influence your followers, to get them to move alongside you to accomplishing your goals. When you have information about what you're trying to do, you have information about the vision that you've cast as a leader, you are able to make decisions, you're able to be an expert at what you are doing, you begin to yield influence over those that you lead. So, I just talked about very, very quickly power and influence within the leadership and followership relationship. And this is very, very vital that as leaders, we know the type of power that we are exerting on our followers. If it is just positional power, then you're not going to get buyback from your team. If it is just, a legitimate power, it's not going to have that much effect. If it's just based on your personality, not everybody's going to like your personality. If it's based on coercion and force, you're going to get people who are going to rebel against you at some point. But if it's expertise power, you're drawing people that are attracted to what you bring to the table. Every leader must bring something to the table. And that's what the followers want to see. They want to be able to connect with those things, and they want to grow with you. So that's basically it for this broadcast. I'm going to see you at our next broadcast. Keep sailing to the top and keep learning about leadership. I'll see you next time. Thank you.